I'm getting tired. You're getting inspired. Last video of the day. Hope you enjoy it. Let's do this. Today we're talking about finding inverses of functions. Calculator doesn't have some fancy little program where it'd just be like, what's the inverse? Oh, here it is. So we got to find some kind of workaround. Let's first define a function. So let's type in f of x, and then now to define it again, control magic button. Now I like to do for rational functions, I like to do control divide because then I can just do like x plus 1 on the top, and then I can go down and do like x minus 3 down here. Hit enter. It's defined. Got it? Got it. Now, in order for it to have an inverse, it's got to be 1 to 1. How do we know it's 1 to 1? Well, we can graph it. So let's do that. So let's go to the graphing page, add the graph, f1 of x. Well, we define it as f of x, so let's just type in f of x. Hit enter, and notice it's a function. Obviously, we couldn't even enter in the function mode if it wasn't. It's a function passes the vertical line test. It's invertible because it passes the horizontal line test. So we know that we can find the inverse of it. So let's do that. So here's the trick. Now, if you take the inverse of a function and then you do the composition of an inverse and the function itself. So like you're taking the f of x and it's going somewhere, and then the inverse is bringing it right back to x. All right. So we know that f of f inverse of x has to equal x. All right. Probably learned that in your classes. So here's how we do the workaround. We're going to solve for f of y to equal x in terms of y. So what we're saying here is, what do we plug in? So what is my inverse that I plug in here that will give me like back to x? So f brings it one place, f inverse brings it back. So what would the inverse be so that f of f inverse equals x? It brings me right back to my starting point. All right, and I want to solve that in terms, so I'm solving for y, so I'm solving for this inner part. And that's it. Hit enter. There's your inverse. There's your inverse. Let's store that as g of x. Let's do it. So one way to do that is you can just, since it's already here in your previous answer, you can hit control stow as g of x. Hit enter. Now, what I don't like about this is that little y equals thing in there. So I'm going to go back up and hit enter to bring it down. So I can't edit it when it's up here. I have to bring it down to edit it. And then I'm just going to scroll over. I'm just going to delete the y equals. I don't like that. And I'm going to hit enter again. So now it's actually stored in g of x properly. So this is what g of x is. Now, if I wanted to just confirm that that is the inverse, one way to do that is to do what is f of g of x. Should be x. It's the inverse. It is. All right. Another way is graphically. Let's go over here to the graphing page. Hit tab to pull up this menu. So I already grouped, this is f1 of x, is the first one is f of x, and I'm going to put g of x, the inverse, in under f of 2, and you'll notice there it is, and they should be symmetric along the line y equals x. Let's graph that as well. So y equals x, and check that out. Let's do a little zoom. Let's zoom out a little bit. Zoom out. You can kind of see the symmetry that's going on there. It's a beautiful thing. All right, time to go and, I don't know, meditate, maybe. Bye.